The hallway remained silent after the whisper faded. But the silence didn't feel empty. It felt charged, like the air before lightning strikes. Kathrin stood frozen at the top of the stairs while her father steadied, himself against the wall, still shaken by what had just happened. Mikkel didn't take his eyes off the cracked attic door. "That wasn't supposed to happen," he muttered. Kathrin swallowed. "What wasn't?" He shook his head. "The house usually holds it back, but it's getting stronger, or it's getting closer." Her father stared between them, bewildered. "Someone explain what is happening in my house." Kathrin closed her eyes for a moment. Everything was spinning too fast. The voice, the door, the light, the mountain knowing her name. She searched for words that didn't sound insane, but there weren't any. Before she could answer, the house groaned again, softer this time, like a warning rather than a threat. "We shouldn't be up here," Mikkel said. "Not right now." Kathrin nodded and they moved downstairs together. Her father hesitated, looking back at the attic. "This house is dangerous. We should leave it." "No," Mikkel said quickly. Kathrin and her father both turned toward him. Mikkel's expression tightened. "If you take her away, it will follow. Out there, she won't have walls that fight for her." The words hit Kathrin like cold water. Her father's jaw clenched. "You're telling me my daughter is safer with that upstairs?" Mikkel met his gaze without flinching. "She's safer here than anywhere else. The house isn't attacking her. It's protecting her." Kathrin's father looked like he wanted to argue, but the memory of the light bursting from the attic door silenced him. Kathrin forced herself to breathe steadily. "What did you mean earlier, when you said it called my mother too?" Mikkel looked away, running a hand through his snow-damp hair. "Your mother wasn't just any woman. She knew things about this mountain, things no one else remembered. She heard it calling long before anyone else. And when she tried to warn the village, they called her unstable." Kathrin tightened her grip on the journal. "What did she do?" "She left," he said, "because she knew if she stayed, it would find you first." Kathrin's stomach twisted. "Why me?" Mikkel hesitated. "Because you're different." "Different how?" He didn't answer. Not right away. Instead, he walked to the living room window and stared out at the snow-covered forest. "Do you see that ridge?" he asked quietly, pointing toward a narrow line of jagged stone rising above the tree line. Kathrin stepped beside him. The ridge was sharp, almost unnatural in shape, cutting the white landscape like a scar. "That's not just a ridge," Mikkel continued. "It's the outer line of the mountain's core, the oldest part, the place where the first stories came from." Kathrin frowned. "Stories?" He nodded. "About voices that seep into dreams. About shapes that walk in winter fog. About children who were called and never came back." Her skin prickled. Mikkel turned to her then, his eyes filled with something she hadn't seen from him before: fear. "And all of those stories have one thing in common," he said softly. "It only calls the ones it recognizes." Kathrin felt her breath catch. "Recognizes? Why would it recognize me?" He hesitated again. Too long. "Mikkel," she whispered, "tell me the truth." He exhaled shakily. "Your mother wasn't the first in your family to hear it. Your grandmother did, and her mother, and the one before that. It skips generations sometimes. But when it chooses someone, it doesn't let go." Kathrin felt the floor tilt beneath her feet. "So this thing is connected to me? It's connected to your bloodline, and it's been waiting for someone who could hear clearly, someone whose voice it could reach." Her heart hammered. "Why would it want that?" "Because once it knows your name," he said, "it can ask you to open what it can't open on its own." Kathrin shivered. "What does it want opened?" Mikkel looked toward the mountain again. "The entrance," he said. "The one no one has seen in decades. The one only someone like you could find." Her father stepped forward, his voice tight with anger. "This is absurd. My wife never believed in any of this. She never—" Mikkel cut him off with a sad, almost apologetic look. "Your wife left this village because she believed it more than anyone." He pointed at the journal in Kathrin's hands. "She wrote everything down because she was terrified you wouldn't understand." Kathrin's father fell silent. Kathrin's pulse throbbed in her ears. She flipped open the journal, turning pages frantically until a sentence caught her eye, one written in larger, darker letters. "The entrance opens only for one who carries the mountain's mark." A chill shot through her. "Mark? What mark?" she whispered. Mikkel stepped closer. "Kathrin, look at your wrist." She froze. Slowly, she pulled back her sleeve. At first, she saw nothing. Then, as the house lights flickered just once, a faint shape revealed itself under her skin. A delicate branching line, like frost spreading across glass. Small, irregular, beautiful. And alive, her father gasped. What is that? When did that? But Kathrin couldn't answer, because the moment she saw the mark, something stirred deep inside the house. A pulse, a vibration, a whisper threading through the floorboards. Found you. Kathrin's breath shattered in her chest. Mikkel grabbed her shoulders. Don't answer it. Not even in your thoughts. The whisper grew brighter inside her mind, not louder, but clearer, intimate, ancient. Come to me. Kathrin pressed her palms to her ears as if that could help. Make it stop. Please make it stop. Mikkel pulled her away from the window. You need to focus on my voice. Look at me, Kathrin. Stay with me. Stay here. She tried. She did. But the whisper was inside her now. Follow the ridge. Open the entrance. You are mine. Then the house roared, an explosion of sound that shook every beam and window pane. A protective cry, a barrier slamming down. The whisper vanished. Kathrin collapsed against Mikkel, trembling. Her father stood pale and speechless, staring at the mark on her wrist. And the house, for the first time, felt afraid. Kathrin clung to the edge of the couch while her breathing slowly steadied. The house still hummed faintly, as if regaining strength after forcing the whisper out of her mind. She felt the vibration through the floorboards, through the walls, through her skin. The mark on her wrist pulsed in time with it. Like a heartbeat that didn't belong to her. Her father paced behind the couch, running a trembling hand through his hair. This is madness, he muttered. This is not possible. Kathrin wished she could agree. Mikkel knelt in front of her, steady and calm despite the fear in his eyes. Kathrin, I need you to listen to me. The mark isn't hurting you. It's reacting. Reacting to what? She whispered. To the mountain, he said. To what's calling you. It knows you felt it. That's why it spoke again. Kathrin shuddered. It felt like it was inside my head. It was, Mikkel said quietly. But only because it recognized you. Her father stopped pacing. And what does that mean? Recognized her as what? Mikkel hesitated before answering. As a link, a key. The mark only appears on someone who can open the entrance. The words felt too big, too heavy. Kathrin shook her head. I don't know anything about an entrance. I don't even know what the mountain is. Why would it want me? Mikkel looked down. Because it can't open the path itself. It needs someone who carries the bloodline. Kathrin swallowed hard. You said my mother heard it. Did she have the mark too? No, he said. But she carried the echo of it. Enough to sense what was coming. Her father stepped closer. If she knew this, why didn't she tell me? Because she didn't want you tangled in it, Mikkel said. She wanted you far away. She wanted Kathrin protected. Kathrin gripped the journal tightly. Then why bring me back here? Why send me a key? Mikkel's eyes softened. Because she couldn't hold it back anymore. And she knew you were the only one who could stop it. The words chilled her deeper than the winter outside. Stop it how? Before Mikkel could answer, the lights flickered again, short. Sharp pulses like Morse code. Mikkel glanced up. It's signaling something. Her father frowned. Signaling what? Kathrin stood, following the flickering with her eyes. The lights in the hallway blinked in a pattern that almost looked intentional. One long pulse, two short ones. One long, it repeated. It's pointing somewhere, she murmured. They moved slowly down the hallway. The lights ahead brightened. The ones behind dimmed. It led them to the far corner of the house, a storage room no one had opened since they arrived. The door was old, painted over several times, the handle cold to the touch. What's in here? Kathrin asked. Her father exhaled. Just old boxes. Paint cans. Your grandmother used it as a sewing room decades ago. Nothing unusual. But the house pulsed again. Stronger this time. Kathrin reached for the handle. It turned easily. Inside, the room was pitch black. The single light bulb in the ceiling had burned out years ago. Dust thickened the air, and old furniture shapes loomed in the darkness. Kathrin took a hesitant step inside. Mikkel caught her wrist. Wait. What? He pointed toward the far wall. A faint shimmer glowed behind a tall cabinet, barely visible, like moonlight leaking through a crack. That wasn't there before, Mikkel whispered. Kathrin pulled free and stepped toward it. Something tugged at her chest, as if the mark on her wrist was pulling her forward. She moved the cabinet aside with both hands. Dust scattered into the air. Behind it was a small door. Hidden, old, wood cracked with age. Her pulse thudded painfully. The door was no taller than her shoulder, built into the wall like an entry to a crawl space. But something about it felt intentional. Her father stared. I've lived in this house half my life. I never knew this door existed. Kathrin reached out. Her fingers grazed the wood. It vibrated faintly under her touch, the same warmth the attic key had carried. Mikkel stepped closer. This is part of the house's core. The oldest structure. Your grandmother would have known it was here. Kathrin whispered, "What's behind it?" Mikkel looked at her with a seriousness she had never seen in him before. If the house is guiding you to it, something it kept hidden is ready to be found. Kathrin grasped the handle. It burned, but not painfully. More like recognition, acceptance. She pulled. The door opened with a deep, groaning sigh, as if the house had been holding its breath for decades. Cold air spilled out, thick, heavy. Inside was a narrow passageway, wooden walls turning sharply downward into darkness. The smell was old earth, old stone, something ancient sleeping. Her father grabbed her shoulder. "Kathrin, we are not going in there." But Kathrin couldn't pull her eyes away. She heard something. Not a whisper. Not a voice. A pulse, a heartbeat. Not hers. Mikkel leaned close, his voice barely audible. "This passage, it wasn't built by people." Kathrin's throat tightened. "Then who built it?" Mikkel swallowed. "The same thing that marked you." Her father pulled her back. "This ends now. We seal this door and we leave this house." But the house lights went out. Everyone. Complete darkness swallowed them. Then a whisper slid up the passageway, curling around Kathrin like breath. "Come down, Kathrin." The mark on her wrist ignited in cold fire. Mikkel grabbed her hand. "Don't move. Don't answer. Don't think." Her father's voice trembled. "What the hell is happening?" The whisper deepened, amused. "You found the door." Kathrin's knees buckled. "I'm not going down there." But the whisper replied soft as snow. "You already are." The ground beneath her shifted, just a fraction, but enough. The house wasn't trying to push her in. Something beneath the house was pulling. The floor shifted beneath Kathrin's feet again, slight, but unmistakable, like the house was leaning toward the open passageway. Dust drifted from the ceiling. A cold draft curled around her ankles, pulling gently, insistently, like fingers made of wind. "Kathrin, step back!" Mikkel said sharply. She tried, but the pull beneath her felt stronger. Not physical, not something she could resist by force. It tugged at her mind, at the mark on her wrist, as if it were calling to something sewn into her bones. Her father grabbed her arm and yanked hard. She stumbled backward into his chest, breaking the pull for a moment. The whisper in the passageway shifted, softening. "Don't let them keep you." Mikkel turned toward the dark opening. "Stay away from her." A low, amused rumble answered from deep within the passage. Not words, not human. A vibration that rolled across the floor and up the walls, rattling picture frames. Kathrin clutched her wrist. The mark glowed faintly under her skin, pale, icy blue, alive. Her father stared at it, terrified. "What does that mean? Why is it doing that?" "It's responding," Mikkel said. "To its presence." The whisper came again, closer this time, as if crawling up the passage toward them. "Come down, Kathrin." Kathrin felt the words touch her mind, not violently, but gently, like someone brushing snowflakes across her thoughts. "No," she whispered, backing up farther. "Stop talking to me." The whisper exhaled. A soft laugh. Too soft. Mikkel stepped in front of her. "You can't have her." The whisper changed. Not a voice now, an echo inside the walls, slipping around them. "You don't decide." Her father pulled Kathrin behind him and slammed the small door shut. The instant it closed, the mark on her wrist dimmed. The house seemed to inhale in relief. Mikkel braced his palms against the door, as if afraid it might burst open again. "It's probing. Testing to see how far it can reach you." Kathrin swallowed shakily. "It felt like it knew what I was thinking." "It did," Mikkel said. "The closer you are to the passage, the clearer it hears you." Her father grabbed Mikkel's coat. "You need to explain this properly, right now." "What exactly is calling her?" Mikkel didn't answer immediately. He stared at the small door, his expression hollow with fear. The villagers call it many names. The old voice, the winter shade, the echo that waits. Which one is real? Kathrin whispered. Mikkel exhaled. None of them, because no one alive has seen its true form. The house creaked above them, a slow, uneasy sound. Kathrin pressed her back to the wall, trying to steady her breath. Why didn't you tell me all this earlier? Mikkel met her eyes, guilt flickering across his face. Because once you know, you can't unknow it. And I didn't want you pulled in. You knew I had the mark, Kathrin realized. Even before I did. He nodded, jaw tightening. I saw it the moment you arrived. It hadn't surfaced yet, but I could feel it. Her father looked between them sharply. How could you possibly feel something like that? Mikkel didn't look away from Kathrin. Because I'm not as untouched by this as you think. Kathrin stared at him. What do you mean? Before he could answer, a violent crack split the silence. The small door bulged outward, wood bending as if something pressed from the other side. Her father jerked backward. It's not locked. There is no lock, Mikkel said. It was never meant to stay closed. The door pushed again. A thin line of darkness seeped through the crack, spreading across the floor like smoke that refused to rise. Kathrin stumbled back. What is that? The mountain's breath, Mikkel said. When it gathers strength. Her father swore under his breath and grabbed a chair, wedging it under the handle. The chair vibrated as the door pushed again, harder. We're not safe here, he said. We need to get out of this house. No, Mikkel said instantly. Out there you'll be exposed. It can move freely in the open. In here, at least the house pushes back, as if to prove his point. The floor trembled and the walls flexed inward, wood groaning in protest. The door stopped moving. The chair stilled. The house had held. For now. Kathrin's pulse hammered. Why is the house helping me? Mikkel finally tore his gaze from the door and turned fully toward her. Because your family built this house on the boundary line. Half on safe ground, half over the old route. It's been protecting your bloodline for generations. It recognized you the moment you stepped inside. Her father blinked. Bloodline? Root? What are you talking about? Mikkel took a slow breath. The mountain isn't just a place. It's a living system, an old one. Its consciousness touches the land in ways most people can't feel. Your family was one of the first to settle here, and they built this house over an ancient path, a tunnel that leads deeper than anyone has ever managed to travel. And you know this because... her father demanded. Mikkel hesitated. Kathrin stepped closer. Mikkel, what aren't you telling us? He finally looked at her, not with the guarded calm he usually wore, but with raw honesty. My mother heard it too. Kathrin's breath halted. Your mother? Yes, his voice cracked. She went into the mountain when I was 8. She never came back. Kathrin's heart clenched. I'm so sorry. He shook his head. After she disappeared, I started hearing it too. Not clearly, not like you, but enough to know it was waiting for someone else. Someone stronger. Someone it chose long before either of us was born. Kathrin felt the weight of his words sink into her. It chose me. Yes, he whispered. It's always been you. The house shuddered again. Not violently this time, but like a warning tremor. The whisper returned, faint but determined, threading through the cracks in the old wood. You can't hide forever. Kathrin pressed her palms against her ears. Make it stop. You're fighting it, Mikkel said softly. That's good. But the more you resist, the harder it pushes. Then what do I do? He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a whisper so her father wouldn't hear. You need to learn the mountain's name. Kathrin's eyes widened. Why? Because once you speak it, he said, you can command it. The small door rattled once more as if it had heard him. Mikkel's voice hardened. But if it says your name first, everything changes. The house lights flickered in fear, and from the passageway came a whisper colder than ice. Kathrin. But this time it wasn't asking. It was claiming. The way it said her name this time was different. Not coaxing, not calling. Stating, as if it were testing how she sounded. Kathrin felt her stomach twist. Her father stepped in front of her as if that would help. I've heard enough, he said hoarsely, staring at the small door. I don't care what this thing is or what stories it's tied to. We're leaving, tonight. The house answered with a low, protesting creak that rolled through the beams. Mikkel shook his head. You can't outrun something that's inside the land itself. If you leave now, Without understanding what it wants, you'll walk straight into it. Her father rounded on him. And staying here is better? With some thing whispering my daughter's name through the walls? Mikkel didn't flinch. Yes, because here it doesn't get to make the rules. The overhead light flickered sharply as if agreeing. Catherine's pulse pounded in her ears. You said I need to learn the mountain's name. How? Mikkel looked at the journal in her hands. You already have the only map it's afraid of. She opened the book, fingers shaking. The pages fluttered on their own, stopping near the back. A cold gust brushed her face, as if the journal itself had exhaled. On the right-hand page, a symbol took up almost all the space. It was a circle, broken at the top. 2 crescent shapes overlapping, just like the mark on her mother's necklace. Just like the faint pattern the light sometimes traced across the walls. Underneath, written in steady, deliberate letters, were 4 words. Do not speak it lightly. Kathrin licked her dry lips. Is this its name? Not the way we use names, Mikkel said. It's older than language, but it's what binds it, what pulls it, what pushes it back. Her father frowned. And you want her to say that? I want her to be able to, Mikkel said quietly. Not now, not yet, but when it matters. The floor vibrated, a faint, irritated tremor. The whisper seeped from the passageway again, curling around them like smoke. He lies to you. Catherine's grip tightened on the journal. No. He wants you afraid of me. Too late, she muttered. The whisper softened, weaving between her thoughts. I can show you what your mother saw. That stopped her. Her chest constricted. What? The passage seemed to lean closer. The air thickened. You want to know why she left you? Kathrin froze. Mikkel stepped closer to her. Don't listen. Her father's face went rigid. Enough. This ends now. She chose the house, the voice murmured. She chose herself. Not you. The words struck like knives. Images flashed across Kathrin's mind. Her mother leaving. Her father's silence. The years of not knowing. The doubt she tried so hard to bury ripped to the surface. What are you doing to her? Her father shouted. The whisper ignored him. Come down, Kathrin. I'll show you the truth. Her feet moved a fraction toward the small door before she realized it. Mikkel grabbed her hand. Stop, that's not truth. That's bait. Her hand shook in his, torn between the pull of the passage and the solidity of his grip. The mark on her wrist burned, cold and hot at once. In her hands, the journal started to shake. Words began to bleed across the page, as if ink was being dragged from somewhere unseen. New lines etched themselves below the warning. It will use her doubts first, then her grief, then her love. Catherine's throat closed. Love. What does that mean? She whispered. Mikkel's voice was tight. It tests every crack in you until it finds the one that opens. It's trying to turn your questions into chains. Her father swore, stepping between Kathrin and the door again. We are sealing this, now. I'll board it up if I have to. He grabbed the edges of the small door and slammed it shut once more, this time pushing an entire chest of old linens in front of it. Wood protested but held. The whisper dropped to a low hiss. Frustrated but not gone. The house pressed inward, every beam tense. Catherine's head throbbed. If I don't answer it, will it stop? No, Mikkel said. But it will learn your patterns. And that's dangerous. How do I make it stop then? You don't, he said quietly. You learn to speak louder. The idea made her dizzy. How? She asked. His gaze dropped to her wrist. You already took the first step. The mark surfaced. That means the house accepted you. It's lending you its strength. And the second step? He hesitated. You need to go back to the attic. Her father exploded. Absolutely not. Not happening. Over my dead. The house is connected there more strongly than anywhere else. Mikkel cut in. That's where it fought the hardest. That's where your mother left everything she knew. Kathrin swallowed. The memory of the shadow at the attic door. The scream. The light. None of that felt like somewhere she wanted to go back to. But the journal vibrated again in her hands. The next page flipped itself. More writing. If she is brave enough to return to where it watched her, the house will show her what I could not. Her mother's handwriting. Her mother's voice on the page, reaching across time. Catherine's fingers trembled. Okay, she whispered. I'll go. Her father stared at her. No, you won't. You're 16. You're not. I'm the one it's calling, she said, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. I'm the one it wants, and I'm the one Mom wrote this for. Silence fell. Her father's shoulders sagged, not in defeat, but in a kind of aching recognition. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time, not just as his daughter, but as something more, something chosen without her consent. Then I'm going with you, he said. Mikkel shook his head. It doesn't want you. If you go, you'll just be noise to it. It could use that against all of you. And you? Her father snapped. What makes you so qualified to drag my daughter into this? Mikkel met his gaze evenly. Because I've been hearing it most of my life and I'm still here. He turned to Kathrin. And because if you walk into that attic alone, it won't be the house waiting for you. The house groaned above them, as if urging her upward. The sound was strained, like it was holding something heavy back. Kathrin nodded slowly. Then you come with me. Her father opened his mouth to protest, but the house cut him off with a sharp crack from the ceiling. Something upstairs was shifting. They climbed. The steps creaked under their weight. The hallway felt narrower than before, the shadows deeper. The broken attic door loomed at the top, splintered but shut. A faint hum vibrated in the wood, like a heartbeat trapped in a rib cage. You don't have to do this, Mikkel said softly. Yes, Kathrin replied. I do. She pushed the door. It opened without resistance. The attic was dim but not dark. Soft, natural light seeped in from a small, round window. Dust motes danced in the cold air. The hidden door to the secret room still pulsed faintly with warmth. The shadow was gone. But something else was there. Her mother's scent. Jasmine and pine. It wrapped around Kathrin like a memory. Her eyes stung. She stepped into the space where she'd found the journal. The chair, the table, the faint outlines of her mother's presence lay over everything like a second skin. What am I supposed to see? She whispered. The house answered. The floor thrummed under her feet. The walls vibrated. The air thickened. Light bent. And then, she saw, not with her eyes, with the house. For a split second, she stood in 2 times at once, now and years ago. Her mother sat in the same chair, journal open, face pale and determined. Tears glinted on her cheeks. I can't hold it alone, her mother whispered. To the house, to the walls, to whatever lived beneath them. When she comes back, help her, please. Light surged through the attic, through her mother's hands, through the wood, a promise sealed. Then the vision snapped away. Kathrin staggered, breath torn from her lungs. Mikkel caught her before she fell. You saw her, he said quietly, not a question. She nodded, swallowing a sob. She asked the house to help me. And it is, he said, whether it wants to or not. The mark on her wrist pulsed, brighter now. A faint echo of the same frost pattern shimmered along the attic beams, like the house itself wore the same mark. Did the mountain mark the house too? She asked. Yes, Mikkel said. But your family taught it something it didn't expect. What? He held her gaze. How to say no? For the first time, something like hope stirred in her chest. Mikkel glanced toward the small window, where Shadow Mountain loomed closer than ever, its peak shrouded. It knows you went back to the attic, he said. It knows you saw that. It will push harder now. Kathrin lifted the journal, feeling its weight. Then we pushed back. Far below them, in the hidden passage behind the small door, something shifted like stone grinding against stone. The mountain listened, and smiled,